I want to give you an insight into the state of play at the BVRLA. I want to give you a very brief review of some of the things we've been working with for 2016, then give you a little insight based upon some of our learnings from 2016 and some of our experience, some of the areas where we'll be putting even more attention during 2017, as well as on our sort of baseload of activities. If we looked at 2016, I guess I'd like to look at it, 2016 activities under a couple of major headings at the start. And one is about the work that we've done on behalf of members and are doing with members in terms of really building more consumer-focused equity into the BVRLA brand. And what do I mean by that? Well, 2015 was all about writing and rewriting our codes of conduct, and getting those codes of conduct out there with members and getting them deployed. 2016 has been all about building on those codes of conduct. So in terms of implementing our audit processes or our health check processes, working closely with leasing brokers, working very closely with rental members and CV rental members in terms of implementing the governance process. And to that effect, we have carried out in excess now of 500 audits during 2016. And I think generally very, very positive feedback from members in terms of how the audit process has been developed and implemented, and also very positive feedback in terms of how the results of those audits are being worked upon in terms of generating much more equity in terms of our brand. So what does that mean? It means differentiating a BVRLA member from a non-BVRLA member so that your customers will have an expectation and importantly a degree of confidence in the service they're going to receive from a BVRLA member going forward into the future. Building on the audit process has been our conciliation process. Since we received ADR status, or Alternative Dispute Resolution status, from the Trading Standards Institute back in October 2015, our conciliation service has now resolved something like 1,600 cases, all within the 30-degree timescale, and all generally to the satisfaction of both the members and your customers. So it's a process which really does underpin our governance regime, but really adds value to the offers that you make into the marketplace. We continue to work very closely with regulators, particularly the Competition and Markets Authority, and particularly in that area on behalf of our rental members. There are still issues that consumers have with dealing with the rental process. We continue to work to try to alleviate those problems and to satisfactorily resolve them, working with the regulator, both here in the UK, but also importantly at a European level as well. And the Competition and Markets Authority have now extended the work they're doing on the rental sector into the rental broker and into the intermediary sector. And we, on behalf of rental members, have been extremely active in that process during 2016. So a lot, I think, of value-added work in terms of building up this equity in the BVRLA brand, in terms of supporting your product offer into the marketplace. A second major area, of course, is a huge banner, working with government. We spend the vast majority of our time working on your behalf in representing your interests and representing our sector to government, both local and national, at a European level as well, and to other stakeholders in the market. A number of areas that we've been involved in with government this year, and I could have had a very, very long list here. On a very practical level, there was a nightmare implementation of the dart charge on the Dartford crossing. I mean, many of you will have had direct experience of the very poor system that was implemented, and very poor in terms of the follow-up process that followed it. I think we worked with Highways England at a very detailed level on behalf of members to put in place, I think, in the middle of the year, significant changes to the process that have led to, again, significant benefits to many of our members' businesses in terms of how the PCNs were being processed for those people crossing the dart charge that didn't know a dart charge was even payable. So again, a good example of how your association can work I would put it at the coalface on your behalf to make changes there. And it's still not perfect, there's still areas to improve on, and we will continue to do that. Major piece of research we carried out during the year was grey fleet. This really was probably the most comprehensive piece of research into the grey fleet market ever undertaken in the UK, done in conjunction with the Energy Saving Trust, working with the BVRLA, really established a cost of the grey fleet, where the opportunities were for your business to work on, and really how, by addressing some of the grey fleet issues in both the public sector and the private sector, there were significant opportunities where BVRLA members could work with government in terms of enabling significant change, particularly in addressing some of the air quality issues and the congestion issues, but also in terms of reducing operating costs in your member companies and potential customer companies. We did a lot of discussion and consultation with government around electric vehicles, workplace charging. We campaigned for a significant period in terms of supporting charging points in businesses. We're delighted to see that there was government grants made during the year. Even more delighted to see in the recent autumn statement that capital allowances have now been put in place to implement in-work charging points. And again, we see that as being a very positive development on the part of members. Clearly, we also worked very extensively with government during the summer in terms of the various taxation consultations they dropped on our desk during our holiday period. Thank you for that. But again, I think we did very, very collaborative work with members in terms of responding to the salary sacrifice consultation, the flexible benefits consultation, the ULEV taxation bans. And again, we didn't get everything we wanted out of that lobbying and those consultation responses, but we got a lot of what we wanted. And again, you don't win all the battles all the time. I think we have to take it stage by stage. But again, significant progress during the year. And also on behalf of members, not on the list here, but clearly we put a lot of time into representing your interests in terms of the whole issue in connected cars, autonomous vehicles, the data issues that are coming out of that, the access to data issues, and that piece of work continues intensively as we speak. Member services, again, I would say here, on one level, a lot of records were broken. We've got a record level of activity going on in member services, a record number of events. In terms of member engagement, we're probably at the highest ever level we've ever been through a combination of regional events, conferences, congresses, seminars, forums. We're really, really delighted with the level of support and response we get from members that want to engage at various levels when it suits them and at the appropriate time, but really a positive development for us. We updated our HGV Fair Wear and Tear Guide, launched it at the CV show. Again, another positive development, both in terms of our members' customers' experience in addressing some of those issues around end-of-contract charges and damage and all the stuff that we're very familiar with. And again, a very collaborative process, working with members, but working with members' customers as well, in terms of being able to deliver a positive result. And if you look at our profile in the media, and again, an interesting and important part in building the equity and the awareness of the BVRLA brand, and as a result of that, then building the awareness of BVRLA members. Again, a positive year in terms of our media. We were always going to struggle in the press coverage against last year because we got a huge amount of coverage because of the abolition of the paper counterpart with the driving licence. But we're not too far away from our numbers for last year. But positive developments in terms of LinkedIn, Twitter, and other social media, particularly on our website. And I would draw to your attention again and look for your engagement as we go into 2017, where we want to really upgrade our website. We think it's about time. Increasing numbers of your customers are coming to our website. It's probably the single biggest growth area in terms of users coming to find out about the BVRLA processes, find out about the conciliation service, find out about member offers. We have a huge number of people inquiring as to how to start up a rental company. But again, it just shows there is an increasing awareness out there amongst your customers of the BVRLA and the services and facilities that the BVRLA can offer. If I look to 2017, an area that we think is going to be increasingly important is the whole area in terms of air quality. Now, London has led the way here in terms of their congestion zone, originally targeted to be implemented in 2020. They now want to bring forward the implementation date to 2019. They want to extend the geographical coverage beyond the congestion zone to basically the North Circular and the South Circular. But London have really led the way. And as you would expect, when you see some of the air quality issues that are not just in London, but they're in all of the major cities around the UK, then clearly there are a whole swathe of other cities now that want to implement their own congestion zones. Now, this will be very much locally led. There is no national framework at this stage in terms of what constitutes a clean air zone. We believe there must be a national framework. We can't have a clean air zone in London being different to a clean air zone in Birmingham or Oxford or Leeds. Practical consequence of that is you'll have some members' vehicles can go into London but couldn't go into Birmingham or vice versa. So active part of our discussion with DEFRA and the Department for Transport is, yes, we support, who doesn't, support the implementation of clean air zones and cleaning up the environment and improving air quality. But it has to be done in a controlled way, and there has to be a national framework that allows our members with national fleets to operate on a national basis. The whole discussion around benefit in kind, around car taxes, the recent discussions we're having now about vehicle excise duty, again, a lot of what we would call stealth taxes. Decisions taken in government with minimum consultation. In many cases, VED is a good example. Absolutely no consultation with stakeholders in our sector, and it has dramatic impact in terms of both the absolute level of charges, how the refund process works, and again, we will be very, very active on your behalf in lobbying government before these changes are actually implemented. And clearly, we've been working again with, on the one hand, the Competition and Markets Authority with the rental sector. As far as the leasing sector and leasing broker sector are particularly concerned, the FCA is the key regulator. We've seen a significant growth in the leasing broker community during 2016. I think that's extremely positive. We're working with the leasing broker sector to ensure that they can be compliant to, in the first instance, the BVRLA Code of Conduct, but it's a key part of our activity, and even more, it will be even more involved during 2017 in supporting them when I think we're the first real year where they will start to feel the focus from the FCA in terms of their scrutiny, and we will really work very closely with leasing brokers to ensure that they can remain compliant to the FCA guidelines. And then, of course, Brexit. It's been very clear in our member survey carried out this year that the key priority that our members see that we should be focusing on in terms of representing their interest to government is in, how do we manage our way through the Brexit process? And again, it's not just our members, but clearly it's UK economy that is also working on this huge challenge of managing through the Brexit process. But we will be working closely with you in terms of feeding back to government those directives or those current EU regulations which we feel are not helpful to the operation of our sector, but equally those regulations and those directives which are important to our sector and that you would want to see retained going forward. And it is very, very likely, whether or not we are in or out of the EU, there will be significant legislation that will come out of the EU which we will not be able as a country to walk away from, and we will have to work our way through that. And I'm thinking of areas like type approval, air quality legislation, particularly data protection, specific areas where, again, say whether we are in or out, they will be affecting and influencing upon our sector. So a very quick run through state of health of the BVRLA. I think the summary would be we are in an extremely healthy position today. 2016, I think we were very focused on representing your interests. 2017, there was already a high workload we carry through and base load to 2017, but there will be even more work we want to do in the areas that I've just gone through.